called QTech that has a relationship with Transnet for over 40 years. And it has been supplying Transnet with, they call it springs and accessories. I don't know the right word, but it's a small spring. I've seen it during the course of my investigation. That was supplied to Transnet straight from them as they are the manufacturers. However, in 2023, they were surprised because they learned now that there is this SK group coming to them to buy the very same spring that they normally supply to the Transnet. But in this instance, it looks like the tender was awarded to SK, and their first surprise, it was normally the tenders are advertised, and this one, it was never advertised. They were surprised to see that there was actually a tender by this SK coming to them to buy these springs. But it gets worse because now they sell these springs with legally like 3.95, but nothing more than 4 rand each. However, the SK group, when they submitted their purchase order to them, they were shocked to see they selling the very same spring that worth 3.95 to Transnet on the price of 151 rand. And then when the inspector to inspect the springs before they were released, they raised a concern to say, how are you aware, Transnet, that you're buying something that worth less than 4 rand with 151 rand? And then the inspector said, no, we're not aware, but I'm going to escalate to the managers, of which, according to the inspector, he didn't. But eventually, like, he got to know about the grip of the QTech. That's where the problem started now, because suddenly there was a new purchase order with now an amended price that was now 5.10 rand. That was sent to QTech now. Now they've got 2 different prices with 2 purchase orders. Seeing what they've seen, they've decided now to report this matter. There's a whistleblower from the company that decided to report to the Department of Enterprise. And then that's where everything started. Then the department tasked the Transnet to have an investigation. Then investigation ensued, and then eventually, like, he was requested to finish the processes of the tender that was awarded to SK, of which he delayed. He delayed up until the 12th of April. That's where everything started to connect the dots to our case now, because the investigating officer from Transnet, he then now confronted him to say, I need those processes, papers. So, and then we see something happening now in this case. Exactly on the 12th, we see Tao driving to Katisong Lipe's house.
Here it comes, get set, are you ready now? Here it comes, get set, are you ready? Here it comes, here it comes. Here it comes, get set, are you ready?
So that we can insert it into our files.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Witness B, if you can then start at paragraph 26.6. This is now where you deal with the relationship between Mr. Lucky Molefe and Katiso Molefe and his, I guess, the request for assistance in this regard once the scheme was discovered?
Yes. This is now, as I've said, that on the 12th, that's when now the investigating officer from Transnet requested those documents from Lucky. And then okay, maybe
Just to assist you, Witness B, this is where you start to deal with the communication and information from the cell phones, which shows you the communication between Mr. Molefe, Lucky Molefe, and Mr. Katiso Molefe, as well as Mr. Puletau.
the communication, it's mostly between Mr. Mlive and Tau, and then we then see them meeting like personally on the for the first time on the 12th. After like we learned that he was requested to bring the papers, but instead of like bringing the papers, we see action happening between Tau and Mlive. When they start now going to the very same QTech to scout. And that you could see that from a data that Dawu drove to Katiso's place, and then they were together picking up at the same tower at Katiso's place. Shortly, they didn't even take some time. Shortly, they both seen driving together to Bernaching at QTech. And then from there, they go back to Katiso's house. Then Tau goes his way.
And does this scouting only happen on the 12th of April?
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of it. That's why I'm saying it was triggered by the investigating officer requesting these papers. Now it seemed to be urgent. Something needed to be done urgently. Otherwise, there was going to be problems. Because from the 12th, there was a scouting. The 13th, there was a scouting. The 14th, there was a scouting. The 15th, there was a scouting. The 16th, there was a scouting. Subsequently, Armand was killed on the 17th. But there's things that happened in between. We see Katiso sending a name and a number of the intended, supposedly they thought it was a whistleblower, but let me just say of the employee from the QTech. He sent it to Tau. Tau started sharing this with her girlfriend named Lerato, asking her to search and find who is that person, of which Lerato indeed she searched until she find the intended target with his boss, and she sent it back to them, to Tau, let me not send it to them, send it back to Tau, send it back to Katiso, and they agreed that this should be him. And then the scouting continued, and then we could see there was a testing of vehicles and so forth. And in one of the days, we could see Tau's Viano there up until the knock-off time where everybody will leave QTechs. I think they were trying to identify the target. And what is notable, after the 16 from scouting, they go back to Mlive again.
Thank you, Witness B. Commissioners, this is described in detail at para 26.8 and the sub-paragraphs thereafter.
Maybe just before you leave 26.8, Witness B, you say at one point Katiso Molefe sent details of employees of QTech to Mr. Tau.
That's correct, Commissioner. Yeah. That's when now he sent the cell phone number of the person that was intended to be shot, that was believed to be a whistleblower, and the name. I don't know if it's safe to call out the name of the victim.
No, Witness B, that's not necessary.
But it was not Mr. Swart, is that correct?
No, it was not Mr. Swart. It may be worth me mentioning that in all of this, unfortunately and sadly, Mr. Swart was never the intended target. It was a mistaken of identity.
I don't think we should get to who the actual whistleblower is. Let's leave it there for their own safety.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioners, just to cross-reference, this would be the annexures that Witness A went through yesterday with all of the stills. So that information is contained there.
Can we? Yes, it's what I was going to raise. Witness A gives dates of scouting, and I think she starts at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it will be helpful that you cross-reference from yesterday's files, that you tell us the 12th is this exhibit that we looked at yesterday, the 13th is this, because to read this without reference to annexures will be very difficult when the witness is not here.
Commissioner Bailoy, we will do so. I'll just ask that once I get my file with Witness A's annexures, I'll do that exercise and give you the references.
I'm happy that you can even start with that tomorrow morning, if you need the rest of today and the evening to do that cross-referencing.
Thank you. Witness B, at paragraph 20.
Sorry, before you move off this, at paragraph 26.8.4, and perhaps Ms. Bowe, it still falls in the category of what I'm asking, what I've asked that you do for us. The witness says, on 12 April 1st, Mr. Tau is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. I don't recall, and the witness, you can remind us, I don't recall that we saw evidence that they were both in the vehicle. I do recall the evidence about the vehicles, the vehicle going to Mr. Molefe and then it leaving. Is there evidence that they were both in the vehicle? And perhaps when you do the exercise that I've asked for, you can try and locate that.
Commissioner Baloy, I think Witness B will be of assistance. She referred to cell towers being used to show that they were both at that location.
Maybe let me direct the question to her. Let me do that.
Certainly.
Yes. Witness B, at 26.8.4, you say on the 12th, first Mr. Tau is seen driving to Mr. Molefe's place, and then they both drive to the location for scouting. How do you know that they were in that vehicle together to the location for scouting?
Commissioner, we know that through the call data. It's the call data that informs us that you can see from the Tau's call data and tracking reports driving to Mlife, and then from Mlife's house, according to call data, they both driving, picking in same towers up until at Vernach and QTech, where they were scouting. Why I would refer to say they were driving together, I'm very much aware of the explanation that he gave during the bail that he forgot the cell phone inside Daw's car. But I'm not convinced, commissioners, because in between he was making calls, let alone receiving calls. Receiving call, I will maybe give him a benefit of the doubt because even Dow can answer. But making calls from your phone, that's extreme. And I know he was using iPhone, and I'm definitely sure that Dow wouldn't be able to access iPhone without him because I know the security is in the iPhone. I'm using an iPhone.
Thank you, Witness B.
Thank you, Commissioner Paloi. Witness B, you wrap this section up at paragraph 26.9, where you talk to the motive. Can you explain this to the commissioners with reference to paragraph 26.9? Thank you.
Yes, the motive, yeah. Hence, I reference to the 12th. We say we see something common about the dates, the 12th, because the 12th is when now, like, he was pressured to give the documents, and knowing that there was manipulation in this, and that would have costed him his job and everything that he worked for. And then instead he reached out to the uncle, and the uncle called out to the friend, and they both start scouting as immediately as the 12th, because the 12th is the genesis of why we are here now. And then
Oh, sorry, Witness B, what's your belief that Mr. Lucky Mulife ordered the hit based on?
it's based on this SK tender and the whistleblower, because, Commissioner, the actual person that was intended to be killed here is the whistleblower that was blowing the information in this SK tender thing. So unfortunately, we find Mr. Swart being killed, but not the person that was intended to be killed, because now it was creating problems for Lucky at work now that the investigator was busy now needing to have these documents, and the same documents was going to reveal that these two companies that he said they were in competition with SK, they actually non-existent. And the SK itself, it has its own problems, because the investigation has revealed that even that it was a pawn in Lucky Mulife and Thapelo Mulife, who's the son to Katiso Mulife's pawn, because when the money was paid now, maybe I don't know if I'm going too forward, but when the money was paid now to this SK, what happens? It gets paid to SK account, but the whole amount is transferred to Thapelo Mulife's account, and Thapelo Mulife is the one paying people, including the so-called director of SK. He's getting as little as 30,000 out of 1.2. So now it tells you who are the mastermind of this SK group and this tender. And it gives you a clear picture why Mr. Mulife was interested and had to do something. Because he was protecting the interest of his own son and the nephew.
I understand about calls or other contact between some of the people alleged to be involved in the murder, that is before the murder, and even the report to Mr. Katiso Mulife after the murder that I think it said, Abuti, we are fine, something like that. So I would understand the basis for inferring or concluding that Mr. Katiso Molefe could have ordered the hit. I'm not so sure that I get how you get to the conclusion or inference that Mr. Lucky Molefe could have ordered the hit. But I will leave it there. You have made your point.
Commissioner, can I add a little something on Molefe?
Yes.
Molefe, meaning Lucky. Lucky is the person who awarded this tender to SK Group. And Molefe is referred to as the buyer at Transnet. Definitely, Molefe, Lucky is not the first time he buys these certain springs from for Transnet. And Molefe is at the liberty to look at the history in the system for the people who have been supplying them with the springs, of which, at the most, the people that maybe were expensive, they were not above 6 rand mostly. I'm not talking about where he facilitated, where other employees facilitated the process. The least is 6 rand. But in every tender where he was involved, it's 100 plus.
Choose your price up front, then ride.
No such pricing. At least this won't be scary. And then when
You can't choose your taste in music, but you can choose your price for a ride.
That's why this whistleblower had to be taken care as quickly as possible before everything comes to light.
And perhaps Witness B, just to clarify with reference to the infographic, there's a dotted line next to Molefe on the right where you mentioned that further investigations have found other schemes. Can you explain that briefly?
That's correct. Unfortunately, that's it's still under investigation, but it's safe to say it's more than one. It could be 10, 15 or 3, but it's more than one.
Thank you, Witness B.
Sorry, Commissioner. One last information that I forgot to include where QTech is concerned. That's why it was so important to eliminate QTech, is that on the system, they've been having this relationship with Transnet for over 40 years. But when at the first value investigations were done, it was so strange that they were not appearing in the system. Somebody had deleted them so that it can never be seen.
Thank you, Witness B. The next section in your statement, you deal with ongoing signs of intimidation, threat, and interference. You explain at paragraph 28 what kept happening as you went to further appearances. Can you take the Commission through this?
Which paragraph am I dealing with now?
We are dealing with paragraph 28.
I'm trying to follow so that
just to explain to the commissioners that the witness has a slight problem with her eyes, so we are trying our best for her not to read, so sometimes that's why we give cues. Yes. This is where you talk about some of your experience with the ongoing court appearances.
Oh, yes. That will be obviously
Not,
as
not ongoing signs of intimidation, threats, and interference.
Yes, Chair, that, but with reference to when they go to further appearances, that's the first line of paragraph 28.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes, the following, it's worth noting that it was not for the first appearance only. It has been going on, and then people trying to take photo of us, it has now became a thing. But at least we had securities that they were aware now that they were looking at each and everyone who's trying to take our photos. They might become and explain to us that we stop certain individual trying to take your photos and everything. And there was this one individual who would always make a point that he come closer to us, and we know for sure that he's a friend to Mr. Tao, but we didn't understand why this guy would want to be closer to us, and we believe it was his way to identify us. Hence, at the later stage of the investigation, we learned that he was tasked by facilitating the elimination of us. So now that action, maybe somebody needed to see us and he would say, the ones that I would go closer to them, it's them. I don't know.
And at paragraph 29, you deal with some of the intelligence you were receiving. Can you tell the Commission about that?
Yes, and then this would be the information that will be deliberately delivered amongst the team to say, you have only, you, like us investigators, you only have two options. You only have an option to accept the bribe and do what those criminals want, or you'll die. Actually, the second one, it's not even an option. It's like that. It's either you do this or you will die. And then where the suspects were concerned, there was a time where a person was informing one of our members to say, now there's only three options. The suspect will escape, the suspect will kill you, or the suspect will buy his way out.
And based on...
So it was like these bribes were not coming in a form of like enticing you anymore. It was coming in a form of threatening you as well.
Let me understand the evidence on the bribes. Before today, I don't remember, I may have forgotten, but I don't remember that there ever was a categorical offer of a bribe. There was mention of envelopes, one envelope being for the prosecutor, another one for the investigators, plural, and another one, was it for the judicial officer? Yes, 3 envelopes. And my understanding was that witness A inferred from that this was an enticement to you, the investigators, to take a bribe on the basis that the reference to envelopes was reference to bribes. He never, if I'm correct, ever said that an offer was made. Here's a bribe. Take it. If you don't, B will happen. I may be incorrect.
Chair, that is correct. Witness B is referring to what informants that they work with would tell them. So not an express, but perhaps Let's direct this to the witness to explain it. But it's more that this was outside of official channels. This was their informants informing them that you have these two options.
All right. Maybe let me just listen. I will hear what witness B says when they visit Pretoria. I will say nothing about who they were visiting in Pretoria.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, do you want to comment on the information you are referring to from informants on bribes and the threats that you were facing?
Yes, I would like to comment. Commissioner, maybe just to put everyone on the picture of what was happening here. And yes, I understand we say informant, but this kind of informers, actually, let me say the one that was telling us that information, it was not somebody who detached himself from the closeness of the suspects, if I may put it like that. He will put it in a way as if it's a message. It's a message from where the suspects they have interest or whatever. Is to say this is what is going to happen. This is what you should be doing, or else this is what is going to happen to you. And it went as far as at some point there was, even though there was never a direct approach to say, here's the bribe, you take it or you die or whatever. But there was the point whereby an amount was mentioned
Witness B,
through inform.
Witness B, can you please tell us under what circumstances this happened? Where were you when this was said to you? Where was the person who told you this? Were you in the presence of each other? Unless you are not willing to tell us who this person was, who was this person?
Cannot say who was the person, but I would say this information to me, it gets to me through the colleague, because this informer is directly reporting to the colleague. I was saying at some point, the very same informer told the colleague that the amount that was already paid to the investigators, let me say to me in particular, he said I was paid 1.2 meter. And this information comes shortly after Dow is granted bail. He said, you see, I told you that this person has been paid. Like he's speaking from the point of knowing, even knowing the amounts. And everything that he has warned my colleague about, it's happening. So it's easy to believe such person when he says tomorrow this person is going to get paid and the person gets paid. Now he tells my colleague that I've been paid 1.2. So he was supposed to believe even that. But unfortunately, he knows me better than that.
And are you also not willing to tell us who the colleague was?
Oh, Commissioner, can't.
Chair, I'm going to have to protect the witness from you.
Sorry?
I'm going to have to protect the witness B from you for a little bit. And I think they will touch on the fact that sometimes referring to colleagues compromises them at the stations they work at. So they aren't able to reveal that
Well,
information.
the witness must tell me that. The witness must tell me that I did not for 1 minute suggest that I was going to press. If for whatever reason the witness says they are not willing to divulge who the colleague is or was.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, can you explain to the Chair why it is you are unwilling to divulge the name of even your colleague?
It's gonna expose the identity.
I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Chair. Witness B, you explained that after the escalation or ongoing threats and intimidation, you took measures to protect yourself. Can you take the commission through what measures you adopted?
This happens shortly. Most of our drastic decisions were taken by us after the release of Tabo, as much as we were in danger before. But now that it was released, we knew that the danger has escalated.
Witness
And
B, let me help you. We are at paragraph 29 of your statement, so we are not at Mr. Tao's release yet. This was when you stopped driving.
Oh, yes. No, what I did there, I was really afraid to drive the vehicle that was assigned to me, a state vehicle, because that vehicle I've been driving it since it was handed to first time it was, I was driving that vehicle. So it was easy to track me on that vehicle. Therefore, I was afraid to drive it. And I gave it to my colleague to drive it, and then I stopped completely to drive it.
And at paragraph 30, you refer to assistance that was given from a private security company. Can you explain this to the Commission?
Yes, this assistance happened shortly. As I'm saying, maybe I'll be too forward because some of these occurrences happened shortly after the DAO was released. Even me stopping driving the vehicle, that was exactly the time. When I stopped driving that vehicle, and then we got assistance from the private security that was helping us during the course of investigation, giving us protection, because it was becoming so impossible now to do investigation out of fear, knowing that Tao is out there, and we learned that he already, while inside, tried to facilitate our assassination. Then now that he can do it himself, it was so difficult.
And at paragraph 32, you deal with the threat and risk assessment that you initially done. Can you explain this process?
Right. And then after this now, before we even go for this TRA, we first, maybe it's time now I start immediately after that was released what happened. That was Friday. On the following Saturday, we had to regroup, me and my colleagues, to
Okay, Witness B.
look at how.
Witness B, let me stop you because chronologically that happens a little later. So perhaps before we deal with the drastic steps that you took after Mr. Buletao's release, let's first deal with then the meeting with General Shibiri that happens in the 15th of May. So you deal with this at paragraph 34 of your statement. You start from the call you received from Colonel Mukwena. Can you take it from there?
Oh, yes. And then on this day, it was after hours, I was at home already. Then I received a call from Colonel Mukwena, and then he told me that he was with General Shibiri, and he had all others
Naked completely rebuilt insurance to make it phone call free and all online. That means insurance isn't just easier and faster, but it also costs less. Visit naked.insure now, get a quote in 90 seconds without talking to anyone, and see how much you can save when you get naked.
Say something just so that we can hear that it's gotten better.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Please start again from the call that you received from Colonel Mukwena.
Yes, it was after I was home already. I received a call from Colonel Mukwena, and then he told me he was with General Shibiri, and General Shibiri would like to talk to me. He then handed over the phone, and then I spoke to the general, and the general was basically asking me question, trying to understand the whole case and the linkages and everything. Therefore, unfortunately, I was not in the liberty to do that. I feel so uncomfortable to do that over the phone because after realizing the people we're dealing with that they were too sophisticated, so we're not really discussing any of the cases concerns over the phone. Therefore, I explained that to the general to say, I don't mind giving general the brief case, but I can't do it over the phone for this and that reason, of which he understood. He said, okay, cool, and then you can please come to my office so that you can give me this information on this case.
That is
of which it happened.
that is the visit to Pretoria that I was referring to earlier.
Yes.
Witness B, in the reporting line or hierarchy, what is Colonel Mukwena in relation to you? Is he your direct superior?
That's he was my direct, and then him reporting to the brigadier reporting to the general.
Brigadier being who? The name of the brigadier to which Colonel Mukwena reported?
Brigadier Khopane, sorry.
And then Brigadier Khopane reported to which general?
General Kumalu. Because of many Kumalus, we will say General Mbuso Kumalu.
All right, thank you. I don't recall whether yesterday we got the name of Colonel Mukwena. His first name?
I know him as Colonel Mukwena. I don't know his first name.
All right, we'll get it. I'm sure Ms. Bowe will help us at some point. Thank you, Witness B.
So, Witness B, you are not on first name basis. We can leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are about to go into the content of the meeting, and I note slightly early, 3 minutes before tea. Perhaps, Chair, this is an opportune time to break.
Let's adjourn and resume at 1:15.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I get perfect notes from every meeting. I click this toggle to send my AI note taker to my meetings, even if I can't attend. My AI note taker records the entire meeting and creates a full transcript. After the meeting, I get a doc with the recording, takeaways, and even the action items. AI turns these action items into tasks so we actually get things done. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
Chair, Commissioners, before the break, the witness was asked about the names of Colonel Mokoena. It's Isaac Ben Mokoena.
Thank you. And is the connectivity improved?
Yes,
You hope so.
we tested before we left for tea. Witness B, if you can confirm that your connectivity is improved by saying something.
I hope you hear me better now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, Commissioners, I'd also like to note, that in the service history, so paragraphs 4 to 6, we have referred to the witness's full service history, which is contained in the SAP 96. That's Annexure 1, W1, B1 of the annexures. And in another exchange, Chair, Witness B would like to address the short exchange you had with her regarding the colleague. So if we can just revisit that paragraph. Witness B?
I'm here. Commissioners, I think I was asked from the information stream where I was referring to in terms of the informations where the bribes and the amounts were concerned. And I believe the commissioner asked specifically as to from which colleague where I got this information from. I would like to say it was from witness A in particular, as much as this information were coming in different streams, but that one in particular, it was from witness A.
Thank you, Witness B.
Thank you, Commissioners. We were dealing with the meeting that took place on the 16th of May with General Shibiri, that is at paragraph 35 of the witness's statement. Witness B, can you take the Commission through what happened on the 16th of May?
On the 16th of May, as per the call the previous night, we proceeded to, maybe I must note that it was at the early stage of this case, it was a hectic one, so we were busy. We only managed to get to Pretoria a little late towards a child time, towards 4. And then we had a brief meeting with the general. It was not really a formal meeting, if I may put it like that. It was more like a briefing that was not formal. In all essence, what I can say, evaluating from what was said in that meeting, mostly General, at first, he was giving us a layout to say he understands that the case that we're investigating is of a serious nature. He even referred to a case that he once investigated himself and his team of a late General Masangani, of which he also highlighted the challenges himself and the team that encountered, the dangers that they encountered. And then he eventually advised us that we need to look at TRA because that will provide a better security given the circumstances. And then he took us to the process of safe houses, and then like he was giving us a clean of what it entails and what it means, and then where it starts. We must first have a TRA, and then those measures may come, because he was talking from an experience. And then the conversation went on and on and on, and then eventually we were given a chance also to give a brief of the case that we're having. He further gave us also a more insight on this case in particular now, to say, oh, well, this case is of a serious nature and your life may be really in danger because these people are connected to a figure called Mswazi, of which at the time I didn't really know. When one says Mswazi, what does that mean? But that name was dropped, and then he furthermore tell us that those guys are of a great danger because they're not only limited to Mswazis, they also working with some of the police officers from Tom's. There was a name there that in particular stood out. It said it was Velani Zungu. He's who's working with them. Well, I don't know him. I still don't know him even now. And then there was also a conversation about that he knows who the attorneys that they are using. He knows how do they work, and then he further said that's when now this issue of envelopes come in. That he knows there's already 3 envelopes prepared, of which it had names on it to say one is for magistrate, prosecutor, and the IOs. So, well, it started now to me to take a different turn, because that's not the conversation I would have with my superiors, especially the one at the general's level, let alone being a general at the national office. It started to feel otherwise for me. Apparently, I couldn't keep it in, because like I was in like off place at that point of the time to say what possibly this could mean. And then I asked the general to say, "Oh, General, if now we're sitting here, you're telling us that as a general, you know of the police officers who are doing wrong, and you telling us what has been done," because I don't think that's the kind of conversation that we should be having. Well, there was no clear answer on that. It was like the inquiry, like he took me through the steps that should be happening, not that are in place already or that I intended. So that was it. And then for me now to move from this uncomfortability that I was in at that time, I decided to take advantage and maybe serve it to help the investigation rather. I then make a request from the general to say, can you please assist me expediting the ballistic reports, because it was crucial for us to have that ballistic report, given the fact that we already expected to link the weapons found in Bramley back to the scene at Vereeniging. So that was a crucial point for us. Therefore, indeed, immediately he started making phone calls in assistance.
Witness B, before you move to the issue of ballistics and the assistance, what was your reaction to the talk of the 3 envelopes, and how did that conversation end?
Oh, my understanding, hence I've just indicated to the commission that for me it just became uncomfortable, because I didn't think me and the general would have such conversation, because according to me it's wrong. Even if maybe the general knows of that, he can't tell me as a junior about it.
Yes.
And reading the room and the whole situation, and with everything that I know now, but at that moment it was just uncomfortable, and I read it as if this is the kind of enticement, because if you tell me about the monies that are there in relation to the case that I'm investigating, and amongst the people that are supposed to get the envelope, it's the investigating officers, what are you trying to say?
Witness B, the slide that we are looking at says the meeting with General Shibiri was on the 16th of September, and yet your statement says, 16th of May, I beg your pardon, and your statement says the 15th of May. Which is the correct date?
Commissioner.
The 15th of May, it's when I received a call,
yes.
Your Commissioner. The visitation, it was actually on the 16th.
All right, my mistake, I beg your pardon. Secondly, the slide speaks of a JMPD officer confirmed to have tested plates for the murder, and sent to KT. What is that all about? It's to summarize, to understand.
That information comes from a different information. I think me putting it in my statement in that sentence, it will need to be rectified. He never really spoke about that. It's from a different stream of information, but not General Shibiri.
So it is a mistake that it is recorded as if it was a discussion with General Shibiri at that meeting.
Yes,
All right.
that and also the one for somebody in Johannesburg Central, those, they don't fit in this meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Witness B. You explained that after the meeting, on reflection, you drew a conclusion about why General Shibiri called you to that meeting. Can you explain to the Commission what that was?
Yes, from our own reflection, all we could conclude is to say he just needed to find out the progress of the case as to how is the accused linked, and then how strong is the case against the accused, of which, well, after this meeting, he indeed gave me a call again, a follow-up call, to ask me the things like the linkages in terms of DNA, in terms of primary residues. So it was like, to me, okay, this was all about that.
Witness B, if you could just allow me to take you back a bit. It's a question that I had wanted to ask and forgot somehow. Earlier in your paragraph 33, this is where you are discussing the TRA that you requested right at the beginning. And you say you filed a form and submitted it to Colonel Mugwena's office. You remember that, where you then...
I do.
You remember that. Now, you conclude that paragraph 33 by saying, unfortunately, nothing ever came of that process. Did you make inquiries, or did you come to understand why that request was not met? Nothing happened.
We really never make a follow-up on that, but as when things started escalating,